Hello, everybody. I'm Gwen Campbell-Mindes with Gwen's Bookish Ramblings, take two, because as you know, I don't prepare for these, so I usually forget to do something before I even start, and then everything gets messed up, which I did this time. So, books. The Dragon's Tapestry. I don't actually know how long I was talking last time, but here we go again. Um, Dragon's Tapestry is a book that was published in 92. I don't remember if I actually bought it in 92 or had it given to me as a present. I think it was a gift. And I really, really like this book. It's got some very stilted language in it. It really does. There is a very non-colloquial feel to this book. It's very, as I said, formal, slightly stilted in tone. But at least part of that does have to do with Martine Bates building the culture, the world that she's building, because she is building another world. It's a world in which, yes, of course, fantasy novels, magic is real. Um, and you have these women called old wives, and they're kind of like village hedge witches. And so their job is, it's very much the village hedge witch job. You're there to act as a midwife, you're there to help people as, in lieu of a village doctor because, you're out in the middle of nowhere a lot of the time. Um, and one of the most important things is the weaving of tapestries, as in the dragon's tapestry. But that's a central plot point, which I may or may not get to, depending on whether or not I get to it, because you know me, I don't worry about spoilers. But the dragon's tapestry is kind of just a plot point. The the protagonist of this, Marwen, um, discovers along the way that she is the daughter of the wizard, and there is only one wizard left because at one time there were many dragons and many wizards, but then everybody killed all the dragons and the wizards started to basically die off at about the same time. They vanished until there was only one supermassive dragon who is hidden away and stuff, and only one wizard who nobody believes in anymore anyways. But people don't believe in the dragon either. Tapestries in this are when a child is born in this world, in this particular place, the old wives weave a tapestry. And a tapestry is supposed to basically describe who you are. It's supposed to symbolically represent something about your life. That there is a destiny that you have, a path that you're supposed to take, but it's all very, very abstracted. Um, it's that Marwen's tapestry, which is kind of at issue, is eventually described as blue and white moons in a black sky and fountains of flowers, humilodia, ice gauzes, and stempellos. In the center of her tapestry was a mountain, a high snow-veined pinnacle of rock, like the mountains she had seen far to the north of Brundar. Beneath the mountain was a white winged in flight, a key, a tree with white fruit, and a crown. Running the length of the tapestry was a single thread, the life thread, the color of a summer sun sky. At the top, like a border, was the sign of the staff, the wizard's sign. And so that's kind of what a tapestry is, what a tapestry is like. It's a bunch of symbols that each sort of have their own weight and can be interpreted in a variety of ways. The one consistent thing about tapestries in this reality is that if you don't fulfill your tapestry, whatever that may mean, you wind up in the dragon's kingdom upon your death, rather than going on to whatever afterlife they believe in, which isn't really described in this book. The thing is, though, that Marwen is adopted by the old wife who acted as midwife, who wove her tapestry, and Grendel, that old wife, hid Marwen's tapestry because she knew that the villagers would be terrified of it. They would be frightened of it. They would be frightened of having the wizard's child in their village. And so she hid the tapestry. And we learn at the start of the book, after this very dramatic beginning in the prologue, in which we watch Marwen's birth, or read about it rather, but that people without tapestries are known as soulless ones, that if you don't have a tapestry, you are described as not having a soul, as not being real. And in the first chapter, Marwen thinks over and over and over again that without her magic, she is nothing. Without her magic, she is empty. That all of the people that she meets in the village, they don't see her. That she is nothing and her tricks mean nothing, because as long as she is around the people, she shrinks down to nothing. She becomes nothing. And throughout this book, she takes these repeated emotional body blows of people telling her over and over again that she isn't anything. That because she is nothing, because she has no soul, because she isn't real, that she doesn't deserve anything. And it's one of the things that makes the end of the book so wonderful, to me at least, is in the course of this book, she meets a prince, and she and the prince fall in love. And at the end of the book, he tells her that, she should come with him, and they should be married, and they should, go off to his castle, and, there's a crown in your tapestry, so the crown clearly means that we should totally be together. And her answer is that she has these things to do, that she has to vindicate herself, she has to study, she has to bury her stepfather, who was kind of a jerk, actually. She turned him into a lizard because he was a jerk and burned the tapestry that she had only just found out she had because he was a jerk, and then she turned him into a lizard and stuff. Anyways, there was a thing, and then somebody shot the lizard, so she's kind of really had a rough time of that. But she still has to bury him. She has to go to her home village. She has to say farewell to everybody. She has to do all of these things. And when Prince Camelot tells her that he'll go with her, she shook her head. "When you are near me, I forget the world, for you become my world. I forget the pain of others in my joy, and then there are still my little demons of doubt. Why is it that when you say I am pretty, there is still distrust in my heart, and when you say you love, I must struggle to believe? I am not finished, Camelot, not yet." And there's a dim echo of this speech, actually, in one episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the last episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where she informs Angel that she's not ready yet, she needs to bake for a while, she needs to become cookies. Buffy fans all over will remember the cookie speech. But the thing is that at the end of this, she turns around and she walks away from a prince. And while I'm sure that there are other works of fiction that have done this, I love the fact that she walks away from him, but says, I'll come back, but I need time to know who I am. And I think it's a really important message that a lot of people, not just young women, not just teenage girls reading this book, but a lot of people should have going into a relationship, that both people in a relationship should be wholly unto themselves, that they should be whole people, that you cannot make your relationship be entirely dependent on one or the other person in the relationship, that a person should be functional and independent and able to be themselves before they go into any serious relationship like this. And that's what she says at the end of this, is not she's never coming back, but that she needs to go. She needs to learn how to be the wizard's heir. She needs to forgive herself, she needs to forgive others, and she needs to be confident in herself as a person. And it's really, I always found that kind of an inspiring ending, because it doesn't say that she won't be with the prince. It doesn't say that she shouldn't be with the prince. It just says she needs to be her own person. Now, I'm going to say another thing, a separate thing, which is, because this is another world, this is an alternate universe where there are 7 moons. Cludre, Nopo, Epsilon, Non, Globa, Septa, and Orbica. That there are strange animals, poisonous lizards, and wingwands, which are kind of a significant animal in this, because in this reality they replace horses, but they are not horses. What they are is kind of like butter horseflies. They're sort of like butterflies crossed with horses, because they eat grass, which, butterflies don't do, and they actually like kind of munch on it, which is not really a thing that you apply to insects, but they have shells and wings that meet overhead. So I did my terrible, terrible attempt at fan art, because wingwands are not really clearly described. We know that they are mounts, we know that they have wings, we know that those wings are scaled like a butterfly's, because butterfly wings have scales, if you didn't know. And so here's my awful attempt at fan art, because I am not the world's greatest sketch artist. And so I decided to make a butter horsefly, or as they are called in these books, a wingwand. So, you see, there's exoskeleton, because in one part of this she talks about how she needs to look at the various shell joins. So, exoskeleton. And I didn't really do a good job at making fur, but there's supposed to be fur back here along the back, because it talks about back fur. And the wings, which at rest meet overhead at the top, they don't fold along the back. They are instead sort of in a constant spread state. And it has antennae, which they put socks over to keep them from going away, and they have compound eyes. So that's why the eyes are so big, and if you could possibly see, which I doubt you can, because this was a terrible drawing, it's crosshatched to show that it's a compound eye, because apparently they have compound eyes. But it's sort of horsey in shape, because they ride them like horses. That being said, if you decide to assume that they're just like really giant butterflies, that's totally rational too. And wingwands are the sign of the old wife, and Grendel, in the process of weaving Marwen's tapestry the first time, weaves it in because she has a vision of the dragon and is trying to create some sort of a defense. And Marwen leaves on a white wingwand, who winds up dying because her stepfather is still a jerk, even though he's a lizard, and manages to poison the wingwand and kill her, which is, like, just really, thank you, fantastic. And so wingwands kind of play a role in this, so I was trying to come up with a concept for one. Like I said, if somebody out there wants to do better concept art, feel free, and you can post it somewhere that you post fan art on. So that's the dragon's tapestry. which I haven't actually told you much about the real plot after all, which has dragons and running and screaming and fire and death and stuff.